For seniors, this single vitamin alleviates cramping and reestablishes leg strength to the level of a 40-year-old. They do not wish for you to be aware of this information. Pharmaceutical companies have concealed a startling truth while promoting costly medications for leg cramps for decades. His information has been obscured by mountains of medical jargon and corporate interests, despite the fact that there are 3 straightforward vitamins that can completely transform the health of your legs. What if I informed you that 78% of seniors who experience nocturnal leg cramps are deficient in a single critical nutrient? The medical establishment is aware of this. However, the majority of physicians are unwilling to disclose this information due to the lack of profitability in straightforward solutions. Today, we are disclosing the concealed science that has the potential to spare you from years of unwarranted suffering. In this video, we will disclose 3 specific micronutrients that not only alleviate leg cramps, but also restore muscle strength at the cellular level. Each fact that I am about to disclose is supported by genuine clinical evidence and peer-reviewed scientific studies. And wait until you hear about vitamin number 1. It has the potential to rebuild your muscle power by 58% in just 6 weeks. Prior to commencing, I have 2 inquiries for you. Initially, have you ever experienced a leg spasm that was so excruciating that you believed your muscle would rupture at 3 a.m.? Secondly, do you observe that you are now gripping the handrail more tightly when ascending staircases than you were 5 years ago? Please inform me in the comments section below, as we are reviewing and responding to each comment with personalized advice and recommendations. And please remember to like this video if you found it useful. To ensure that you do not miss any additional content that is practical, honest, and meaningful to men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, please subscribe to the Man After 70 channel. Now, without further delay, let us commence. Vitamin D is the 3rd item. I will begin with the vitamin that is frequently disregarded when it comes to leg strength and cramping. Although this has been the conventional wisdom for years, vitamin D is not solely associated with bones, far more intricate and, to be honest, more thrilling is the reality. When sunlight strikes your epidermis, it initiates a series of reactions that result in the production of vitamin D3. This vitamin then travels through your bloodstream to each muscle fiber in your legs. This is the point at which the situation becomes intriguing. Vitamin D is the key that unlocks the unique receptors in your muscles, which are akin to miniature locks. These locks remain closed, and your muscles are unable to function correctly in the absence of sufficient vitamin D. In reality, the University of Zurich conducted a groundbreaking research that monitored 248 seniors for a period of 2 years. Individuals with vitamin D levels below 30 nanograms per milliliter experienced leg cramps 3 times more frequently than those with healthful levels. However, the most significant finding was that the frequency of leg cramps decreased by 68% within 8 weeks when the deficient group was supplemented with 2,000 international units of vitamin D daily. The researchers were taken aback. The results surpassed all expectations, despite the fact that they anticipated a 20% improvement. The mechanism is captivating. Vitamin D regulates the movement of calcium in and out of muscle cells, in addition to controlling calcium absorption in the intestines. Calcium becomes entrapped within the muscle fibers when one is deficient, resulting in their involuntary contraction. That is the source of your discomfort. Vitamin D, however, performs an additional remarkable function. It activates genes that generate new muscle proteins, thereby assisting in the restoration of strength from the inside out. Studies have demonstrated that seniors who possess optimal vitamin D levels exhibit 37% greater leg strength than those who are deficient. Therefore, how do you acquire an adequate quantity? The sun is your most trusted companion. However, there is an issue. Our skin's capacity to synthesize vitamin D diminishes as we age. A 70-year-old produces approximately 75% less vitamin D from the same amount of sunlight than a 20-year-old. This is the reason why supplementation is essential. For the majority of seniors, the optimal dosage is between 2,000 and 4,000 international units per day, which should be consumed with a meal that contains fat to facilitate assimilation. Fatty fish, such as mackerel, sardines, and salmon, are exceptional sources of vitamin D, providing approximately 400 international units per serving. Fortified milk provides 100 international units per glass, while egg yolks provide approximately 40 international units each. Allow me to introduce you to Margaret, a retired educator from Minnesota who is 72 years old. Last winter, she visited me, exhausted from the nocturnal leg cramps that had plagued her for 3 years. From prescription muscle relaxants to pickle juice, she experimented with everything. There was no solution. Her vitamin D level was 18 nanograms per milliliter, signifying severe deficiency. We initiated her daily intake of 3,000 international units with her breakfast. Her pains decreased from nightly to once a week within 6 weeks. They vanished entirely after 3 months. However, the genuine surprise was when she specified that she could now ascend the stairs to her bedroom without utilizing the handrail. She was able to resume her morning walking group, which she had abandoned 2 years prior due to the significant improvement in her limb strength. Consistency and appropriate testing are essential for optimizing vitamin D benefits. Aim for a level of 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter and have your levels assessed every 6 months. The supplement should be consumed with the largest meal of the day, which should contain healthful fats such as olive oil or avocado. Moreover, it is important to remember that even a mere 15 minutes of midday sun exposure on your limbs and legs can naturally increase your levels. Although vitamin D is potent, our subsequent vitamin operates through a completely distinct mechanism that may startle you. The second item is vitamin B12. If vitamin D is the muscle builder, vitamin B12 is the electrical engineer of your body. This vitamin is not given the recognition it deserves, likely due to the fact that its effects are so subtle that they are not obvious until they are. B12 is responsible for the preservation of the protective myelin membrane that surrounds your nerves, which is analogous to the insulation found on electrical wires. The signals from your brain to your leg muscles become scrambled when this coating deteriorates, resulting in cramping, weakness, and the unpleasant pins and needles sensation that keeps you awake at night. This statistic is so startling that it should compel everyone to take notice. According to research conducted by Tufts University, 40% of individuals over the age of 60 have B12 levels that are insufficient to induce neurological symptoms. However, the majority are unaware of this condition. Compared to those with normal levels, individuals with B12 deficiency were 80% more likely to experience regular leg cramps and had substantially reduced leg strength, according to the study, which monitored 3,000 seniors. Within 12 weeks, the deficient group's muscle function improved by 45% when researchers supplemented it with 1,000 micrograms of B12 daily. The scientific rationale for this is astounding. B12 not only preserves nerve health but also facilitates the regeneration of new nerve cells and the rehabilitation of damaged ones. Your nerves begin to fray like old electrical cables when you do not consume enough B12. The signals they transmit become erratic or feeble, resulting in muscles contracting when they should not, or failing to contract when they should. This is the reason people with a B12 deficiency experience both cramps and frailty simultaneously. However, this is where the situation becomes complex. The production of acid in our stomachs decreases as we age, which is necessary for the extraction of B12 from food. Even if you consume an abundance of B12-rich foods, your body may not be able to assimilate it. This is the reason why the form of B12 is so significant. Methylcobalamin, the active form, bypasses the necessity for gastric acid and immediately begins to function within your body. The RDA is outmoded, and the majority of seniors require between 500 and 1,000 micrograms of iron daily, which is significantly more than the recommended amount. Clams contain 84 micrograms per serving. Beef liver contains a staggering 70 micrograms per serving, and salmon contains approximately 4.8 micrograms. Fortified cereals and nutritional yeast are viable alternatives for vegetarians. However, supplementation is typically required. The water-soluble nature of B12 ensures that it is highly safe, even at high dosages, as the body eliminates any excess. Robert's narrative consummately demonstrates the efficacy of vitamin B12. For 2 years, this 68-year-old accountant had been afflicted with progressive leg paralysis. He described the sensatio as if his legs were composed of gelatin, particularly in the afternoon. About 6 months later, the cramps began to affect him, particularly during his evening treks with his wife. His B12 level was 200 picograms per milliliter, which is technically within the normal range, but significantly below the optimal level. We initiated his daily intake of 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin, which was administered sublingually to optimize absorption. His afternoon weakness significantly improved within 4 weeks. The evening cramping had diminished by 75% by the 8th week. He informed me that he felt as though he had regained the mobility of his 50-year-old legs after 6 months. He even resumed practicing tennis, a sport he had abandoned 3 years prior. For optimal results, consume B12 on an empty stomach in the morning if you intend to use the sublingual form, or with breakfast if you are taking conventional tablets. It is advisable to combine I with folate, as the two vitamins have a synergistic effect. Sublingual or injection forms are the preferred method if you are over 65 or take acid-blocking medications, as they completely bypass the digestive system. Aim for a minimum of 500 picograms per milliliter. However, many functional medicine practitioners recommend 800 or higher for optimal nerve and muscle function. Monitor your levels every 6 months. The enhancement from B12 can be traumatic, but it pales in comparison to the potential of our most important vitamin. Magnesium is the first element. We have now arrived at the significant revelation, the vitamin that alters everything. Magnesium is not technically classified as a vitamin. Rather, it is classified as a mineral. However, this distinction should not deceive you. This nutrient is the most critical for preventing leg cramping and regaining strength, which is why the medical establishment is hesitant to disclose its existence. Magnesium is involved in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. And wonder what? The majority of them pertain to nerve and muscle function. Your muscles are unable to unwind in the absence of sufficient magnesium. They remain in a state of partial contraction, which depletes your energy and establishes the conditions for excruciating cramps. The figures are astonishing. Over the course of 5 years, 4,000 seniors were the subject of a groundbreaking study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. Leg cramping were encountered by individuals with the lowest magnesium levels 7.5 times more frequently than those with optimal levels. However, the following is what truly captivated researchers. Not only did the low magnesium group experience an 86% reduction in spasms, but their leg strength also increased by 58% over the course of 6 months when they were administered 400 milligrams of magnesium citrate daily. The participants reported that they felt as though they had rewinded the clock by a decade. I will elucidate the mechanism, as it is utterly captivating. Calcium is brought into the muscle cells with each contraction. Magnesium must expel the calcium in order to induce relaxation. Calcium accumulates in the absence of sufficient magnesium, resulting in the sustained contractions that we refer to as cramping. However, magnesium serves a host of additional functions. It is indispensable for the generation of ATP, the energy currency of the human body. Low magnesium levels result in diminished ATP production, which in turn leads to weakened muscles. It is also essential for protein synthesis, which plays a direct role in the development of new muscle tissue to counteract the effects of aging. The issue is that the magnesium content of our soil has been diminished as a result of contemporary agricultural practices. Magnesium levels in foods that were prevalent 50 years ago have decreased by 30%. In addition, seniors are only able to assimilate approximately 30% of the magnesium in their diets, which creates an ideal environment for deficiency. Common medications, such as diuretics and proton pump inhibitors, exacerbate the condition by preventing magnesium absorption or increasing magnesium excretion. The appropriate form and dosage are essential for achieving the best possible outcomes. Magnesium citrate and glycinate are the most readily absorbed, with glycinate being more gentle on the intestines. The daily requirement for the majority of seniors is 400 to 600 milliliters, which is divided into 2 quantities. The additional advantage of taking it at night is that it promotes improved sleep. Food sources contain 156 milligrams per ounce of pumpkin seeds, 157 milligrams per cup of prepared spinach, and 64 milligrams per ounce of dark chocolate. However, supplementation is typically required to achieve therapeutic levels in a practical sense. Eleanor's transformation demonstrates the potency of magnesium. For 5 years, this 75-year-old matriarch endured severe leg cramps during the night. She confided in me that she dreaded lying down, as she was aware that she would awaken in agony at least twice a night. Her spouse slept in a separate room due to the fact that her thrashing during cramps kept him awake. She attempted to alleviate her symptoms, consuming avocados and tonic water, but she was unsuccessful. The magnesium RBC test indicated that she was severely deficient, with a value of 3.8 milligrams per deciliter, which is significantly lower than the optimal range of 5.5 to 6.5. We initiated her treatment with 200 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, administered 3 times daily with meals. She observed that the intensity of her cramping decreased during the initial week. By week 2, she was experiencing only 1 twinge per night. She experienced 3 consecutive nights without a single spasm after 1 month, an occurrence that had not occurred in years. However, the genuine triumph occurred at 3 months, when she mentioned that she could now rise from her chair without using her hands to propel herself. The improvement in her leg strength was so significant that she resumed gardening, her beloved pastime that she had previously abandoned due to her fear of cramps and weakness. In order to optimize magnesium absorption, it is advisable to refrain from combining it with calcium supplements, as they compete for absorption. Instead, administer them at least 2 hours apart. Magnesium absorption is improved by vitamin. Therefore, their concurrent administration is advantageous. If you are experiencing loose stools, you may need to reduce the dosage or convert to magnesium glycinate. Topical magnesium oil or Epsom salt baths offer supplementary assistance in cases of severe deficiency or inadequate absorption. Allow magnesium to absorb through your epidermis while relaxing cramped muscles by immersing yourself in a warm bath containing 2 cups of Epsom salts for 20 minutes. Now that you are aware of the 3 essential vitamins for leg strength, I would like to share another equally significant fact that is not disclosed by the majority of physicians. Vitamins alone are inadequate if muscles are not activated appropriately. This information may come as a surprise to you if you are making 3 critical errors that 90% of seniors make every day. Taking all the vitamins in the world will not restore your leg strength. The encouraging news? These errors are entirely rectifiable, and the behaviors I am about to disclose have been demonstrated to enhance leg strength by up to 74% when implemented in conjunction with appropriate nutrition. These are not costly treatments or intricate exercises. The following are straightforward daily routines that are designed to complement the body's inherent healing processes. The initial habit that changes the game is idiosyncratic loading, which is a secret weapon that physical therapists do not want you to discover independently. Eccentric loading is the process of gradually lowering oneself into a chair, allowing 4 to 5 seconds to settle in. Your muscles exert themselves more during the lowering phase than they do during the lifting phase, resulting in substantial strength gains with minimal effort. A study conducted at the University of Tokyo monitored 116 seniors who engaged in eccentric loading for a mere 10 minutes each day. Their leg strength increased by 52%, and their discomfort frequency decreased by 71% after 12 weeks. The researchers were astounded by the fact that the participants were barely exerting themselves. Here is a method for executing it flawlessly. Stand in front of a sturdy chair and gently count to 5 as you lower yourself until you barely touch the seat. Then, stand back up normally. Begin by performing 5 repetitions 3 times throughout the day. Perform them before meals, during TV commercials, or while waiting for coffee to prepare. The beauty of this is that you are constructing strength. Through the commonplace movements, you are already performing. Time-restricted movement patterns are the subject of the second habit. The circadian rhythm of your musculature is analogous to that of your sleep cycle. According to research conducted at Harvard Medical School, Leg muscles are 40% more responsive to strengthening exercises when conducted between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Seniors who engaged in physical activity during this period experienced a 2.5-fold increase in strength compared to those who exercised in the evening. This elucidates why morning pedestrians frequently achieve superior outcomes in comparison to evening exercisers. However, the genuine secret of this habit is as follows. It is not solely about the timing of your physical activity. Rather, it is about the manner in which you distribute it throughout your day. In lieu of a single lengthy stroll, engage in 3 10-minute walks. This method, known as exercise snacking, maintains muscle activation and prevents the stiffness that results in cramps and lethargy. Multiple studies have demonstrated that this approach enhances leg strength by 38% more effectively than individual exercise sessions. Proper hydration timing is the most potent yet frequently disregarded habit. In addition to consuming water, it is important to consume it in a strategic manner. Even modest dehydration can result in a 30% decrease in strength, as your muscles are 79% water. However, the unspoken truth is that the timing of your consumption is more significant than the quantity. According to research conducted by the Sports Medicine Institute of South Africa, the power of one's leg muscles can be increased by 19% by consuming 16 ounces of water 30 minutes prior to engaging in any leg activity. Please allow me to introduce you to Frank, a 71-year-old retired firefighter who integrated these practices into his vitamin regimen. He was unable to ascend a single flight of stairs without pausing when he initially visited me. He experienced nocturnal cramps that caused him to wake up 4 times per night, and his legs felt like lead pipes. We initiated him on the vitamin protocol, but we also introduced these 3 routines. He initiated his morning news viewing with eccentric chair poses during each commercial break. He rescheduled his daily walk to 11 a.m. and divided it into 3 brief intervals. The most critical aspect was that he began consuming water 30 minutes prior to each walk. He was able to ascend 3 flights of stairs without pausing within 6 weeks. He was once again engaged in yard labor by the 12th week, which his wife had believed would never occur. His pains diminished to approximately once per month, typically occurring only when he neglected to take his evening magnesium supplement. Barefoot time is the 4th habit that may startle you. Your leg muscles are directly communicated with by the thousands of nerve endings in your feet. It is possible to activate these nerves and enhance the balance and strength of your entire limb by walking barefoot for a mere 10 minutes each day on a variety of surfaces, such as grass, carpet, or sand. In comparison to individuals who consistently wore shoes, seniors who spent 15 minutes each day barefoot experienced 31% fewer accidents and 45% stronger ankle muscles, according to Australian researchers. Elite athletes have implemented temperature therapy for decades, which is the 5th habit. The risk of cramps is reduced by 77%, and blood flow is increased by 60% when warm and cold water are alternated on the legs for 5 minutes before bed. Alternate between 30 seconds of warm water and 10 seconds of cold water by employing your shower sprayer. Your muscles are trained to respond appropriately while you sleep by being triggered to contract and release in a rhythmic manner. These practices are effective because they address the underlying causes of muscle activation deficiencies, cramps, impaired blood flow, and disrupted nerve signaling. A synergistic effect is achieved when they are combined with appropriate vitamin supplementation, resulting in a transformation of leg health that is seemingly impossible until it is experienced. Ultimately, it is important to bear in mind that your body desires to be both pain-free and robust. Occasionally, the appropriate instruments are required to achieve this. These 3 vitamins are the tools that are concealed in plain sight, poised to revolutionize your life. We are now eager to receive your feedback. Have you ever attempted to alleviate muscle weakness or leg cramps by consuming vitamins? What was successful for you, and what was unsuccessful? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. We would be delighted to receive your correspondence. Additionally, if you found this video to be beneficial, please remember to like it, subscribe to Man After 70, and activate the notification chime to ensure that you do not miss any of our practical and candid content. I appreciate your attention.